Very good evening to everyone. The World Engineering Day for Sustainable Development was proclaimed by UNESCO at its 40th General Conference in 2019. It is celebrated worldwide on 4th of March of each year since 2020 as a UNESCO International Day of Celebration of Engineers and Engineering. This was based on a proposal from the World Federation of Engineering Organizations we call WFEO. The World Federation of Engineering Organization is the international organization for the engineering profession, founded in 1968 under the auspices of UNESCO. WFEO brings together national engineering institutions from some 100 nations and represent more than 30 million engineers, including the ISL. The World Engineering Day offers an opportunity to highlight engineers and engineering achievements in our modern world and improve public understanding of how engineering and technology are central to modern life and for sustainable development. With this short note, I would like to invite the first resource person. In fact, he is the president of the Institution of Engineers, Sri Lanka. Professor Ranjit Disanayake is a distinguished senior professor in civil engineering at the University of Peradeniya. He served as a secretary to the State Ministry of Rural Roads and Other Infrastructure, showcasing his exceptional leadership skills in shaping the nation's development. Previously, he held the prestigious position of secretary to the State Ministry of Urban Development. Professor Disanayake has been recognized globally for his scholarly pursuits. He was honored as a Fulbright Scholar in the United States and Endeavour Fellow in Australia and a JASO Research Fellow in Japan, underscoring his commitment to cross-cultural knowledge exchange. Professor Disanayake's remarkable achievements extend beyond academia. He received the prestigious Overseas Prize from the Institution of Civil Engineers, ICE, in the United Kingdom in 2007, highlighting his international recognition for outstanding accomplishments. In 2012, he was honored with the Australia Alumni Excellence Award, further solidifying his status as an exemplary scholar. Moreover, he holds prominent positions such as chairman of the Green Building Council of Sri Lanka. Professor Ranjit Disanayake, this invitation is for you to welcome the audience and to share your thoughts on sustainable engineering solutions for Sri Lanka's economic revival. Over to you, sir.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It is my great pleasure to be the first speaker of the day for the World Engineering Day. And I would like to especially welcome here the Professor Sarath Kottagama, who is Emeritus Professor of the Colombo University, and the Professor Asanka from the University of Moratuwa, and accepting to coordinate the session, Dr. Kasun, as well as the past president and the council members, especially Professor Namagomu for introduction as well as organizing the event, CEO. The topic that I selected among the others, the sustainable engineering solution for the Sri Lanka's economic revival. Let's see how I think about this topic. I'll go very basic of the sustainability. As we all know that the sustainability has three main pillars. These are economical, other one is the social, and the economic. So first one is environmental. I made a mistake. So that in order to have the sustainability, these three pillars must support the country. Let's see what has happened to the in Sri Lanka case. When you think about the environmental pillar, as you all know that we have gone to the built environment. It is not only the case in Sri Lanka, but most of the countries. But when we focus into the different places, like the water bodies, we see the lot of pollution are taking place. It will be the same when you focus onto the soil. It will be the same when you focus into the air. That means the main three element of the environment has been polluted because of our built environment. Let's move on to the next one. Socially, the youth who are coming out of the school now are in questions. What is it? Maybe right now, nearly, it say that the according to survey, 57 people are thinking about the when and how they can migrate. So that means that socially also we have a problem. Let's move on to the last one, economically. As you all know that very recently we declared as a bankruptcy. So that means that economically also we are in a situation. So that for example, right now our sustainability is we can define as mainly economically badly damaged, environmentally somewhat damaged, socially also somewhat damaged. But from these, if you want to come back to the where we have the total sustainability, we have to strengthen these three pillars. Not only by improving the one pillar, environment, you can't have the social total sustainable development. Therefore, we need to improve these three areas. But how much you improve your environmentally, people still frustrated, migrated without jobs and the security and so forth. Therefore, we need to strengthen these three pillars. So we are now thinking about the sustainable development of the nation. So our topic code, how we are going to support this mainly economic regaining. So engineering solution for transforming Sri Lanka into the sustainable development. Basically, again, we have to say that we have to support to the main three pillars. What it is, environment, social and economical. So that we have to support. But I think mainly at the first instance, we must give our support to come to the economic, I think by pressing this, okay, economic gain, right? That is the most important one that we should support. The second one, I think that the environmental side. The third one is the social. We being engineers, we can do much toward the economical growth compared to the environment and social. Then compared to the environment and when comparing the environmental and social, we can do much for the environment rather than the social. So that is how I look at. What is the engineer's role in the economic revival? I see that we have to make sure that the proper infrastructure is there where to other activities can take place. It can become as industries, agriculture and service sector. When this benefit go to the common man, so when they start to laugh or the happy, so we will say that there will be socio-economic development in the country. So when this development taking place, that development itself contribute to the economic revival. So this is how the country should run. What are the other areas? The sustainable engineering solution. We have to think about the infrastructure, not just infrastructure, we have to go for the green infrastructure. Public transport also, public transport, the private to public, and it should be a green public transport. Then renewable energy sources, waste management, water conservation, and so forth. These are the areas where we can directly contribute. So just to tell you that all the construction must be a greener construction, right? Must be converted to the greener building where the less use of water, less use of energy, and the material, and even the material must be the energy efficient and so forth. So especially right now, you can see the price for the electricity and water and so forth. Therefore, going for the sustainable building is very much important. I mean, even inside of the building, you can't just have the garbage collection, and the other management should be a sustainable way. When you think about the transport sector, right? When you talk to the focus on transport, this should be changed to the public transport, where railway network and the buses and the car parking and the bicycle, these concept must come. Otherwise, you can't depend on the heavy traffic jam. Even today, I just wanted to go out some work, but on the way, I felt like there's a huge traffic jam around the Borel. So I came back to the office because I understand that I might be late than I wanted to, I thought. So when we focus on the water bodies must be clean, as you see there. The target must be we will be able to drink in case of emergency. So these are some of the area where we can contribute. So the sustainable development is environmentally sustainable and the socially resilient. The social resilience means the social and economically strength must be there. Then only we can think about this migration of the youth and other people. Number will be drastically reduced. It need not to become zero, but movement of the people should be accepted. But this is kind of ad hoc movement should be bring to the stable position. Engineering solution for the Sri Lankan economic revival. As we discussed, economy is the right now most important thing that you should strengthen. When you look at, I always refer this one, we understand that we are based on the mainly import to the country compared to the export. So this has been artificially controlled over the period. Fortunately, I believe during the COVID, government could not control it artificially. This is where we stopped the import of the vehicle last several years, and the power cut went up to the 13 hours, and a lot of essential were in the queue. So this is where we understand that as a country, we have to change our policy toward the sustainability. To transform this one, of course, as you see there, we must encourage discourage the import and try to go for the manufacturing in the country. So export must be encouraged and at least bring to the balanced level. So this is what many country has done. So this part, the many engineering solution can be applied. They are renewable energy, thereby cut down the fuel the import, and the manufacturing wherever possible. Then usage of the local material and the circular economy principle and the sustainable agriculture. These are the list. These are the where we can target about how we are going to bring down the import to this country. Sustainable development is very important. We have to go for the innovation and link up with the entrepreneurs and make sure that the country will, our research and innovation make the money for the nation, whereby we can send more goods than what we bring. This is what most of the developed nation did. So there we need to go for the now green innovation and entrepreneurships. Vision implementation, like even last Techno, we used the theme for the engineering for the region and economy. We try our best to support the economy by through the exhibition, so that we as IESL we do that. And we have been discussing about the sustainable built environment during last 15 years. We have to bridge the gap between the academia and the industry and the foreign and local and so forth. And we established I think last year, the Entrepreneurs Forum. Main idea is to engineers to become the entrepreneurs so that they can contribute to the manufacturing process and so forth. By becoming the entrepreneurs, they can produce the things in the country, so the local market. By improving the quality, they can send to the other countries. And very recently, this month, we are going to have the university industry collaboration conference there, because we understand that the working with the industry is very, very important, because academia is working separately, industry is working separately. Sometimes we have the solution for the industry, but we don't have the contact. So therefore, we got the 2 grants from the SECRA and the Fountain. We are trying to make sure that the support of this one, how to work with we have been working very close to Thailand. They are very good in the making the contact between the university and industry. So even my private capacity, I established the GAP headquarters, where green innovation and entrepreneurship is where we are trying to bring the sustainable solution, whatever the innovation that we have, link up the entrepreneurs and produce in the companies. This is very close by. So that the GAP headquarters is basically trying to start the startup to make sure that the companies will be formed. That will be help to the economic growth of this country. So I'm a big believer in the green innovation and entrepreneurships. It is the promising pathway to the sustainable development in this country. Thank you so much.
Environmentally sustainable and socially resilient. Thank you very much, Professor Ranjit Disanayake, for defining sustainable and for sharing your wonderful thoughts on economic revival. Now, I am moving to the next resource person. He will talk on going back to nature, changing approach. He's a well-known ornithologist and environmentalist. Vidya Jyoti Sarath Vimala Bandara Kottagama. He's a professor emeritus and a former head of the Department of Zoology, University of Colombo. Professor Kottagama obtained the BSc from the University of Colombo and gained a PhD on the feeding and behavioral ecology of Rose Fringe parakeet at the University of Aberdeen. Since 1974, Professor Kottagama has lectured at the Department of Zoology, University of Colombo, and at the Open University of Sri Lanka. Between 1989 and 1990, he served as director of the Department of Wildlife Conservation and Secondment. In 1997, he was appointed Professor of Environmental Science in the Department of Zoology, University of Colombo, holding it until he gained Professor Emeritus status on retirement. During his career, he had served as a consultant to many government and non-government organizations, as well as being a member of several advisory committees in the Central Environmental Authority, Department of National Museum, and the Sri Lanka Foundation. He has also served as the past president of Field Ornithology Group of Sri Lanka, vice president of Ecosystem Society of Sri Lanka, and member of the Society of Conservation Biology. So without further ado, please welcome Professor Sarath Kottagama to the stage. Over to you, sir.
So, everyone, good evening. Thank you for inviting me to speak to engineers. The many times I have done, I know I have created ripples and caused some concerns about what I am saying. Even now, I am a little surprised that it took such a long time for the engineers to realize that we should be going sustainable. You said 2019 that the World Institute of Engineers recognized sustainability and declared it as a policy forward. So I was involved in sustainability in 1992. So I'm a little surprised. I'm not surprised in that way because I know it takes a long time first to realize. I don't believe in the 3 pillars today, though we promised it and we said, and we have a different model now, which is called the inclusivity model. You have to be all 3. You can't be different. It is because we had these 3 pillars prior to us arguing for sustainable development that we have created this situation. Each one wants his domain to be his own. They are not willing to give way to the other and make us cohesion and come together. So way back in 2002, we came up with the inclusivity model where the same ideas, economics, social, and environment is one and the same. And it's just how you put which forward and what. So I'm going to just take you through that ideas and some of it and asking the question, what is the problem? First, you have to recognize the problem. This is again one of the fundamentals that many people don't understand. Where is the problem and why should we need to find the solution? I take you back 2.6 million years to where we evolved as Homo sapiens. And then at that point, we were hunter-gatherers, collecting food and living in these caves and all of that. But lived through here, but didn't change for 98% of our human presence on this planet. For 98% or more of the presence on this planet, we remained as hunter-gatherers. So one need to ask why? Why? It's purely because insecurity and uncertainty. Even today, that is it. Because we are insecure and uncertain, we are not taking the next step. So all Professor Ranjit wanted to entrepreneurship, all of this is not going to happen if you're insecure and if you're uncertain. We have to make that change to make us secure. That happened only about 12,000 years ago. Homo sapiens changed to become an agricultural person. And that is where security and certainty came into our head. Because we had the food, there is no question about having to seek the food. It was there because we planted it. It's only a matter of protecting it. To protect it, we had to leave the cave because you can't do that from the cave. The caves are in one place, the food is in another place, it's in the open plain. You had to come, which meant now comes the structuring. The built environment comes with it. Because to be there and to be protected from the elements of nature, you had to have a shelter. Everything becomes structured. So that makes us certain about my future, because if I plant something, I want to reap it. I'm not going to plant it and let the animals eat it. Even today, we don't allow it. We go through all expenditure, all of these to become good citizens. We want to reap that benefit. And if you don't have it, that's when we dump and go away. But it brought us to the present. But today, if we ask ourselves, we are back to square one. That is what Professor Ranjit just told you. We are back to square one. We are so insecure. Do I have a future in this country? Is what the 15 plus people are asking, right? So it's a real issue. So we need to be able to ensure that there's security and certainty in this country for the future. And it is only then that they will invest in the country. Otherwise, they are willing to invest outside, not here. But how can you get that done? That is the fundamental in environment. Because what we have done is within the last 2 seconds of our life. This is the whole chart in just 1 year, right? 0.2 seconds, it's just down at the bottom. And we have done a mess of it. So we humans can't be so brilliant to think of it as we want to think. We are not. So every natural system has been altered, some to the point of collapse. Species extinction, natural ecological cycles have been destroyed, billions of tons of topsoil lost, climate has been affected completely. So where do we go from here? Resource availability is a question today. Do we have the resources for the populations that we are increasing? We will need at least 2 Earths for this purpose. Maybe that's why we have investments in Mars, investment in going to the moon, not investing going down to the ocean. If you compare the costs and the investment patterns, you can see we are willing to leave the world rather than stay in the world. That's very sad, but that's the reality. The issues for the next 10 years, this is from this last month. Davos meets every February, and that's what they say for the next 2 years. Misinformation and disinformation is going to be the biggest issue. That is the biggest risk, followed by extreme weather, societal polarization, cyber insecurity, and interstate armed conflict. For the next 10 years, 4 out of the 5 is environment. At the present, maybe the 2 years are what you have there, but what you are going to have for the future. Extreme weather, critical change to the Earth's ecosystems, or Earth systems, biodiversity loss and ecosystems collapse, and natural resource shortage. So we still have to address all of them if we are to be secure on this planet. It is behind this background that way back in 1990s, people are saying, y'all are talking, but nothing is happening. So I thought, yeah, nothing is happening. So we need to relook at it in a different way. So I came up with this publication where I said, what is the environment? Precisely, we have all evolved into one natural system. We humans evolved into a natural system, which was the whole planet. But over time, we changed it through built and structured environment, which we brought in. That is where we are. And that meant that there was a new element in the planet, and we need to look at it in a different way. Are we seeing it properly? Third element was theoretical environment. Who are we? We have become what the theories have made us become. Economics, we are slaves of the economy, whether we like it or not. It's 100% artificial theory, but yet we are slaves of that theory because it addresses our desires. And that makes things, culture, all of these things are there. So if we can recognize these three and see what happened to it, you can see from natural world, we have brought in the built world, all these things, the past development, structured, and they have even gone beyond the planet's elements. We have so many artificial chemicals today on the planet that they did not exist in nature. Where did it come from? All our creation. So we creators have done this. So how are we going to resolve it? We have to resolve it. No outside creator can do that. Maybe the outside creator gave us the bowl. We have played with it and got the water out of it. And now we are saying there's no water and we are dying. We have to find the water now. No outside creator is going to come. The only solution, therefore, bring back the elements to within the limits of the planet, which I called naturalization then. Today it's called greening. Doesn't matter. It's the same. Right? I am a biologist, so it didn't matter to go into the pictures of the technology side, but this is the fact. Anyway, we have to bring them back again. The whole concept of building green, living green is all about bringing it within the capacity of the planet, within the resource base of the planet. That's all that is being requested for. And if we can achieve that, then we will be in harmony with naturalness in this. For that, you need to change. But we humans are very resilient and very difficult to change. Problems cannot be solved within the mindset that created them. That's what Einstein said. So if you think around who are controlling the planet at this point of time, 85 years old, they created the problem. How can they change it? Because you are not going to accept your own faults. That is the reality of human life. So we need a generation that is going to make it a different. More people are at risk today from the impacts of climate change than ever before. 1948, we have all been there. It's not 100 years ago. It's just 40, 60 years ago, 70 years ago, right? So what is this? So it's us who has to change. So no wonder we have to say this. Nature is declining globally at rates unprecedented in millions of years. So we need to think about how to invest in a green recovery. A green recovery. And that is where I think the challenge has come. We have to think of principles and conditions, a green recovery from COVID-19. COVID-19 is the best recent experience that we have to say that if we do not respect nature, it can take over us without any question. We have yet not learned from it. We are still going on. But that is what we have to rethink. All of that is trying to tell you how to balance and change. Plenty of literature, thinking, all that is there, but how are we going to effect it? When I said something in Sri Lanka, everybody started shooting at me. But I said, look at this. 15 million mink to prevent the spread of mutated coronavirus on fur farms. That's okay, no? Because it's done in a developed country, not in a developing country, right? But this is the reality. We have to understand that we have caused all of these things. 2024 in green building, what to expect? I have put this. Green building practices are increasing prominent across the real estate industry because they save money, improve efficiency, lower carbon emissions, and create healthy places for people to live, work, and play. In green building practices are essential tools in fighting climate change and reaching ESG goals. Now, see, that's the new word. ESG, environment, society, and governance. We have dropped something in the process. The new word. The CSR is gone now. Now we are looking for ESGs, governance. I think that matters, no? In the whole country also, here, even in Sri Lanka, governance is the best, no? So we need that, right? So you can see how things are putting into what we want for the future. After many years of making the case for why we need green buildings in the first place, there's a real convergence of financial resources, policy advances, growing business commitments, and an abundance of technologies for emission reductions. Observed Ramanujam, CEO, Global Network for Zero. 2023 will be remembered as the year when the resources and willpower needed to implement the net zero solutions were assembled en masse. So we have started responding. So I'm using green buildings because I have been involved with them, but I can use many other examples, right? First, learn. That is what we need, the principles. For nature, that is all. Again, it's the same. Prepare to undertake adaptation measures. Change from learning from what we have in the nature naturalness today. Then adopt, not adapt. You see, the English word here was very correct. I have to say that I dropped off from the IPCC because I disagreed with the English word. And I still say I disagree with the English word. It's not adapt, it is adopt. If you adapt, you won't be human. You will be homo, techno or something. That is not what we are looking at. We are looking at being homo sapiens and adopting something new to resist climate change impacts. But unfortunately, IPCC was a physical based object. They didn't think of the evolutionary subject that we learned. And therefore I said, sorry, I don't like to adapt. I like to stay human. And therefore I only will adopt what is done. So anyway, you can see, unfortunately, these are technical words, but yet it matters. Act. We need to act, design to protect, collect, and efficiently utilize natural resources. All of these are there. I'm not going to go into the details. And we have started. We have started looking at ways. Since 2002, we are talking about nature-based solutions. Look at nature, see what is happening there, and try to find the solutions from there to change the problems that we have. This is where the ideology change also comes. One of the lectures that I did for the engineers of Peradeniya, I was surprised to find that the handbook of the leaflet of the Peradeniya has a very, very renowned aeronautics engineer as the example of how to become a good engineer. I said, it can't be. You can't use him anymore because he was trying to make planes in a place where there was no planes. So he has to do something that is not natural because you can't fly like a bird. You can fly, but you can't fly like a bird. You have to create something that will fly in a different technological sense. So the wording was very interesting. I forget the words. But what I'm saying is that we have to start changing strongly. Renewable energy or alternate energy, right? I would put it in a very different way. Say not just only renewable. It has to be something different totally today, which is still some from within. We are trying and hard to photosynthesize the energy. I'm putting it in my biological words. Photosynthesis is capturing energy and making the food. So can we capture the energy from a process and make it available for us to use? So we are doing it through renewables, saying something new other than what we are doing. So a lot of stories from biofuels to hydrogen, which is now becoming very important today, OTEC, ocean thermal, maybe we will come back to Trincomalee, right? Ocean wave energy, all these technologies exist, but every technology has its own problems. They are not problem free. Solar, we say fantastic, solar panels are good. Lithium batteries, what are you going to do with it? There is a solution today. They are trying to mix lithium with orange waste, orange peels and all of that and create it into a food. Let's see whether it works. Then they will say the lithium is in your body like plastic is now in the body. Last year, 2022, the first child had microplastics in the body. Last December, they say in UK, they have done a sample study. More than 80% of the people have plastics in the body. Wait till it comes. Because now we are frightened to do the experiment to find out whether we do have plastic in the body. The other answer is mimicking, which we again have done quite well. We used to call it inspirations from nature. For more than 36 years, I have been working with the students of Moratuwa, going to Singaraja and asking them, see what is here and come and inspire yourself to do something new. But then we have a subject today. Janian Bison comes up with the word biomimicry. Mimicking what is there in nature. If you know what is there in nature, you can use it and do it. This is just one example. The cleanest surface on the earth was in Sri Lanka and we didn't see it. But somebody else saw it and there comes the Lotusan and the paints and all of these things where you don't have to worry. Just paint it, the rain will clean it. We have it in the market today. Only 5 polymers for all those animals. 5 polymers. And some of them are extremely strong with respect to what the animals are performing. We have 350 polymers trying to do the work that we are trying to do. Where is the ingenuity? Where is this? We need to look more deeply into what is happening in the animal world's tissues, the structures, and see if we can bring it out and make it happen naturally, because it will decay naturally also. The strength is what we need. It's engineering there. But how do we do that? That is where it matters. And now we have power from space, right? This is what? February 2024. We started the experiment almost a year ago, and now we have the first experiment success in February 13, 2024. Satellite beam power from space to Earth for the first time ever. And that's the collection center. There are some things happening which we have to think about. Would that yet solve the problem? That is where the question mark still hangs. Will it solve the problem? Solar paint has been around for some time, but now it's picking up again because panels are questioned with lithium. What do you do with lithium? The battery issues. Places where it is dug up and sent around, when it is all over, what do you do? How to put up the panel, those are all getting solved. Agrovoltaics, all of that, don't worry. When many years ago, somebody was talking about putting solar panels out or even creating a moor and all that in the sea, I said, don't worry, that will be the best place to fish. If you know something about fish biology, you will do some covers in places, but you will do it in such a way that the fish also benefits and the human benefits from the fish. But you must know that biology must link with the structure. If not, it's not going to work. So this is where sustainability comes. That is our dream. Sustainability is for the future because we have to think that that is the possible answer for the future. And the solutions will come only if we are willing to seek to understand what is happening rightfully in nature. And finally, of course, if we only address the right words in the term sustainable development, which we are still not willing to do. We are all addressing the wants of the people and not the needs of the people. The sustainable definition says the needs of the people, not the wants of the people. Can we identify the needs of the people? And you will see there's a huge gap between what we are trying to provide and what we should be providing. And that's the problem that we are facing. There's one thing you cannot recycle, and that is wasted time. We have wasted enough time. So sorry if you had taken so much long to recognize sustainability from 1992 to 2019. not sarcastic, but it sounded very strange to me, right? I thought we would have become sustainable by now, at least in the teaching of the engineering, but it took such a long time. It's a wasted time. And the more we waste, the worse we are getting into. So thank you very much for inviting me to give these thoughts. If we go on the right path, definitely we have a future on this planet and on this country, no question. But you have to have the resilience and you have to have the will to make the change. Thank you.
Natural, built and theoretical elements or principles of naturalization. Thank you very much, sir. Always we are learning from you. Listening to your speech is also something that we always like, and we gain a lot of knowledge after listening to you. Thank you very much, sir. The next speaker will talk on smart grid technologies, revolutionizing the energy sector for sustainable future. So now I will introduce my colleague and another well-known engineer in the field of electrical engineering. Professor Asanka Rodrigo joined the Department of Electrical Engineering at the University of Moratuwa as a lecturer in 2004 after completing his master's degree. After finishing his undergraduate studies, he worked with a private consultancy firm in Sri Lanka as an engineering team leader, and was involved with several major power sector projects in Sri Lanka. At the same time, he served ABB Utilities GmbH, Germany, as the deputy site manager of the KG1 water treatment plant project in Sri Lanka, which was successfully handed over to Sri Lankan government in late 2006. He also served as the DG of the SLSCA from 2019 to 2021. Professor Rodrigo graduated with a BSc Engineering with first class honors in electrical engineering in 2002 and earned MSc from University of Moratuwa in 2004. He got the Asian Development Full Scholarship while pursuing postgraduate studies in Sri Lanka. He received his PhD in Industrial Engineering from the Hong Kong University of Science and Technology in 2010. So with this note, I would like to invite Professor Asanka Rodrigo, my colleague, to the stage.
Good evening, all. First of all, thank you very much, ISL, including President Professor Dissanayake, and also the organizing committee, including my colleague, the Professor Nawagamua, and all the other members of the ISL for inviting me for this very important day, Engineers Day, World Engineers Day. I think actually I'm representing or participating in this event second time. Even I think the last or the previous year also I participated as a speaker. So that thank you very much for the inviting. And today my topic is basically more focus on energy, because you all know that energy plays a major role in all the day-to-day life nowadays. So that how we can use this modern technology to achieve the sustainable development, and how to become the world as a sustainable, how to make a sustainable future by using this smart grid technology. That's what I'm going to discuss today. And I will more focus on Sri Lankan context, so that if you look at the Sri Lankan context, so this is how we look like our the energy sector. You can see we have certain basic the primary energies, including the fossil fuel, like the crude oil. We are importing crude oil, finished petroleum product, as well as the coal. So the lot of the petroleum products are importing, and also we have certain our own resources as well: biomass, wind, solar, hydro. Those type of things are the main energy resources available in Sri Lanka. Some of them are imported, some of them are our own resources, which are catering for our customers or the end users, industrial, domestic, the transportation and other different type of other sectors. If you look at this, the chart, this is the 2021 chart, which is available at the moment as the latest published energy, the flow diagram in Sri Lanka. And you will see that, as I mentioned, so currently we are taking 48.8% our own indigenous resources. And out of that, we are having 32% from biomass as well as 10.5% from our hydro resources. And if you look at the rest, that is 50.2, more than 50%, we are basically the all imported fossil fuels. And you can see that if you just remember the few years back what we had, so that you can remember these type of queues. We were the queuing up for sometimes 12 hours, sometimes the 1 day, so that because of this imported fossil fuel, so that if you are not getting them and if you do not have money to buy these type of imported fossil fuel, we are in the real bad situation. So that are we having a sustainable energy sector? So that you can remember that in those days we had something like 8 hours, 13 hours power cut, and we were always looking at so that when we are getting this power cut and what is the power cut period, so that people had a lot of these type of difficulties because of this dependency on one thing is the fossil fuel, as well as 100% of those fossil fuels are imported fossil fuel. And so that we have to think about something the way we can have the sustainable energy sector. So that if you look at the trend in the energy sector, you will see that when you look at somewhere in 1985, not far the long period back, so that you will see that the more than 80% of our energy we fulfill by our own resources. So that mostly like a biomass as well as other renewable like the hydro resources, and the almost 80% we fulfill by our natural resources. But then we had only 20% of the other like imported fossil fuel, especially for the transportation purposes. That's how we started. But in 2021, when we are ending up 2021, now we are having more than the 50% of the energy requirement. Now we are fulfilling by the imported fossil fuel. So that then, okay, if you look at, obviously you can see the trend. So that with the increase of the population and the increase of our living standard, the energy demand also will also grow up. So that if you look at the current country's policy, of course we can do something and we can increase some kind of the biomass usage, and it will be an indigenous resource. But the proper use of biomass, we can fulfill certain amount of our own energy requirement. But obviously we have to get rid of this imported fossil fuel. Anyway, they are creating large amount of the environmental damages. Even everywhere, all the countries have recognized that we have to get rid of this petroleum product. And also we started to import the coal, and the government at the moment has taken a policy decision not to go for more coal power plant. So that if you go like that after the end of our existing coal power plants lifetime, so that they will be decommissioned, and our coal consumption will also we can reduce drastically. So that, and also obviously we know that our hydro resources are already explored, and because of that we don't have any more major hydropower plant other than very small scale the mini hydro and the micro hydro resources. So that there will be certain the hydro resources, but not the drastic increase we cannot do in the hydro resources part. So then you can see our demand increases, but the available resources will be very limited. So what will be the solution? We have to find out, as engineers, we have to find out a solution. So that is where we have to go for our own or indigenous the energy resources or the renewable energy. So that then people are asking, okay, can we meet up this entire part by the renewable energy? So that if you look at our capacity, of course, we have enough capacity. Unfortunately, sorry for this. The formatting problem, it came up in this computer. So that we have something like the roughly the solar capacity of 29 gigawatt. At the moment, our peak demand is less than 3 gigawatt. In solar itself, we have, if we take 20% of the barren land, so that not any greenery or anything, so that we did a calculation, even if we take a 20% of barren land, we can achieve 29 gigawatt of solar. And if you go to the onshore, our wind resources, it is estimated that we have additional 10 gigawatt of the renewable, the wind resource. And if you go to biomass, if we collect the agricultural waste and other residuals and other the biomass, the things, we can generate something like 760 megawatt of biomass is available for our usage. And the offshore, of course, we have a large capacity of the offshore. Now there is a World Bank funded project is going on. It is estimated that we are having more than 35 gigawatt of the offshore wind resources, so that we have enough capacity. Capacity wise, there is no problem at all. So that we can go for our own indigenous, the renewable resources, and we can fulfill our entire energy requirement by the renewable energy. So this is not only in Sri Lanka. If you look at worldwide also, there is a commitment to reduce the petroleum product usage, especially coal and other oil-based usage. And you will see that even in the worldwide, if you look at the worldwide energy transition, they are also depends on the solar, wind and offshore wind, those type of things, as well as the geothermal, those type of renewable energy resources. So that is common. Okay, we are not the different, so that we have to go for those type of the resources, especially in Sri Lanka. It is identified that the most prominent the resources are the wind and solar. Of course, there are other resources which we can deploy, but there are enough capacity for the solar and wind. But there are problems. So the one thing is, now at the moment, even if you have a coal power plant or any other petroleum product, so that if you want, we can switch on and take whatever the amount, whatever the energy we need. And if you want to disconnect them, we can disconnect as we want if you have the resource. But these type of solar and wind, we call as intermittent resources, where we cannot control it. So because of that, now the generation will become some kind of the intermittence or the variable generation. Now, at the moment, we are having only the demand is variable, whereas the demand can be made by the firm power. But now, not only our demand, but also our generation, both are varying. So that will create a lot of problem how to manage these two. So that, and also, now the trend is, you can see earlier we had the large scale power plant, and if you look at 10 years or the 12 years back, we were taking power from the national grid, and there were large scale power plant, and the CEB or our utility is generating power, and we are buying power from them. But now, so mostly our consumers were some kind of the passive consumers, not active consumers. They are just consuming. But now they have become some kind of a prosumer. So they are consuming as well as they are generating. So that there are a lot of the solar power plant, the solar rooftop, which are generating, and they are also sending power to the national grid. Now, our grid is now become a different situation. where the consumers are also generating, and we will get a large number of distributed generators. Now, if you look at, even if you want to, if we consider just a solar generation, so that we have closer to 800 megawatt, which is coming from more than 40,000 households. 800 megawatt from 40,000 generators. Now, if you want to, okay, if you have the system control, so that they can control 10, 15 power plant, they can call them, they can say them, okay, be stand. Now we are going to increase your power generation like that. If you have a limited number of the power plant. Now assume that if you are going to control 40,000 power plant, how you are going to do it? You cannot do manual. You need to have something else where that is where we have to apply our engineering knowledge, so that now the grid is becoming more and more distributed generator location and reducing these the central power generation location. So that then, if you look at in overall, you will see that our grid is becoming now, earlier we had more centralized large scale power plants, and they are becoming some kind of a decentralized small scale power plant, so that we are becoming more and more self-sufficient type of consumers are coming up, and they are generating their own energy and storing them and using them, and also the using or giving it to the distribution as well. And also the network, earlier we had a centralized network, but now it is a more decentralized network. And also if you look at our distribution is also the same. Because of that, we will get more and more small scale, the nano grid, micro grid, those type of things will be there. The village will be controlled by itself. Likewise, the cities will be controlled by themselves. Likewise, we will going away from the large network to a small scale network. And also because of that, the power flow, earlier we had from power plant to the consumer, there is a one-way power, the flow. Now we are getting some kind of a bidirectional power flow. So that, and also now the consumers are also generating power. So that will create the great challenge to how to manage this type of a grid, how to manage this type of a energy flow. So that is a challenge. So that the solution is basically identified as a smart grid. So that we can have a smarter grid. As I said, okay, now in earlier, if you have a certain experience, how the system control center did their power plant operation, if they want, they dial and call and ask, okay, increase the generation, decrease the generation like that. And that was our initial stage operation. But now, so that we are going for a more and more automated type of things, where we have to have because you assume that if you have a 40,000 odd number of power generation, different the amount, one house generate 5 kilowatt, other house generate 10 kilowatt, another house 500 kilowatt. Likewise, different generation from the time to time, that is also generating different amount. So that we cannot control manually. You need to have a smarter grid. So that's where the smart grids are coming up. Not only the power flow. Now we are looking at both the communication as well as the IT infrastructure, where the decision making cannot be done by the human, so that we need to have a certain type of automated system. So that is where now coming up with microgrids, nanogrids, those type of systems are coming up. So that then you will see that the grid will be basically there are 3 Ds, which we call as a digitalization and the decentralization, and also we had to look at the decarbonization. So that's why we are getting rid of the petroleum product, where we had to look at when we are going for the sustainable future, so that we have to have this type of the smart grid in our system. So that what are the engineering solutions? So of course there are, okay, all these are, as I said, there are a lot of challenges in the how to become this one, because mostly even when you look at the Sri Lanka, so the lot of proposals are coming up to build the power plant. But we have never seen people are coming up with a proposal for enhance the grid or how to digitalize the grid. and how to, because whatever you generate, finally you have to send it to the grid and then distribute to the customer. So that if you do not have very smarter grid, so that whatever you generate, even you say that you will achieve 70% renewable, if the renewable you can have the power plant, but if the grid cannot accept it, there is no point. So that the one of the key element or the key barrier for the renewable energy, this target is the infrastructure where we need to have the smarter grid. And also now a lot of the technologies are there. As an example, as I said, now one of the research group did a certain research on the automating this the control the center with a real-time controlling mechanism, and they already implemented. Now it is in operation. So that that is called the automatic the frequency control type of arrangements are needed, where by research and development we can support a lot of these type of things. And also we have to have how to integrate the renewable energy. You may heard about that we have the certain hosting capacity for any network. So that how to enhance that hosting capacity. So that what type of actions you have to take. And you can do a prediction of this intermittent renewable energy. There are a lot of techniques. Even we are working on AI technology. By looking at the pattern, now there is a very high the forecasting accuracy where we can achieve using the AI technology. Likewise, you can see I have just listed out a few publications which I made on how to enhance this network and how we can integrate more and more renewable energy, because it cannot be done even though the people are saying, okay, we can make this much of power plant. If the power plant cannot connect to the grid, we cannot do anything. So that because of that, we have to have an infrastructure where the engineers should work together and give an engineering solution. It will be so that the Indian grid, they have their own problem. But for our grid, we have to identify what are our problems, and our engineers should give the solution for those problems. So that's how we can go for this type of the sustainable future. So that as an example, to demonstrate these type of things, how we can go for the smarter grid, we develop the first micro grid in Moratuwa University, the covering few the departments and the buildings, and it is actually funded by the ADB and with the support of the LECO. It has now 350 kilowatt demonstrative, the fully smart grid. Anybody can visit it and check whether how it is performing. And even this Sumanadasa building, which electrical engineering department is located, can run without a grid. So that it's a self-sufficient, so that even a power cut, we didn't have any problem because of the smart grid. And we have a battery bank and the diesel generator for the standby requirement, so that if there is any problem in this network, okay, we can take the battery bank. Otherwise, we are running the standby generator in a zero power generation. We are just running it with the solar and the battery bank, as well as the grid will run as a standby as well. Standby to standby will be the diesel generator. At the moment we are using it like that, so that okay, we can do it. So that because that's why we implemented this one in Moratuwa University as a demonstrative project, to show that we can do these type of smart grid, nano grids, and the micro grids, so that we can enhance this renewable energy integration. By that way, we can achieve the sustainable future. So thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you, Professor Asanka. Consumers and producers will become prosumers. So thank you very much for introducing this word. So with this, now it's time for the panel discussion. So I would like to invite all the panelists to the stage, the resource persons, and the moderator today. We have here Dr. Kasun Nandapala. He is a senior lecturer in construction technology, and also he is a green building consultant, energy consultant, and Director Admission Accreditation and Quality Assurance at the University of Vocational Technology. So I would like to invite the three resource persons and Dr. Kasun Nandapala to this. Over to you, Dr. Kasun.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We, a set of engineers, are here to discuss the way forward on the day of World Engineering Day. And we have three eminent resource personnel here that I'm sort of requested to moderate this session. So it's my privilege, first of all. Just a comment at the very beginning, I was listening from the front row and I'm supposed to be the moderator and I was taking down notes and everything. There were 4 occasions where I forgot that I am the moderator and I was just listening to the lecture. So anyway, thank you once again for the opportunity. They were so interesting and I saw that you all were listening very attentively as well. So to start the proceedings, to kick off the things, the arrangement that you have discussed at the beginning of this session was like, I'll kick off the things and then if you have any questions, we will pass around the microphone so that you can ask any clarifications that you all have. And if you are in Zoom, if you are listening in Zoom, you can type it on the chat. I'll receive it to me and I will direct those questions to the panel. So that will be the arrangement. Hope that's okay with you. Right. So to kick off the things before allowing the audience to start things, I have picked out 3 key points of each of these lectures. These are these small talks. And in terms of those, I would like to ask from the panelists, where are we as Sri Lankans and how are we moving forward? So first question, first clarification goes to Professor Disanayake, who's, I think, the best person to answer this. In your presentation, sir, you mentioned green innovation and entrepreneurship. As Sri Lankans, where are we? How can we move forward?
Where are we? This is what I see, that because we have a very good education institute and research institute, and of course we have to all accept that we have a very good brain in the country. That people are very much committed to the education and research. So that means that we have enough innovation. Another one is we have entrepreneurs. Of course, right now, whatever we do, it is very, very important, not like about 50 years before. Even at that time, it is important, but at least we can neglect and go for the development. So the thinking on sustainability is very much important. Therefore, whatever we do, we have to make sure that it should be a sustainable move, not only business or innovation, any activity. Right now, in order to survival of any activity of the business, we have to make sure that we do a business, a sustainable business. Therefore, I see that these 3 things are separated. So, but as a government need to bring the policies to bring these three elements together. That is what even I tried my best to explain at the vision implementation. We have understand that, of course, the Professor Kotagama has understand during last 50, 60 years. But we also understand recently, that is why we have been working on the sustainability last 10, 15 years, bringing the International Conference on Sustainability and Water, as well as we try to produce the entrepreneurs and companies. And therefore, that be we have been working in this area. Therefore, but we have to admit that we don't have the proper policies to bring these three elements together and get the benefit to the nation. So that is what we have been very recently working with the European Union grant, University Industrial Development. Especially, I have been traveling many countries because of this grant. I see that compared to the Sri Lanka, almost all the countries are doing much better, especially in the case of Thailand. You see that there are some universities, I can say all, but there are few universities, their theme is the university for the industry. So the university is established for the industry. But we establish the universities for the produce the graduate. But no point, we have been producing so many graduates. They are not in the country even. But we have made a mistake. We have to make sure that the universities are for the industry. That is a mistake. But of course, we have all the infrastructure, we have the people, everything is there, putting things together and make sure that we do the manufacturing in the country, which will improve and go for the export market and the stable economy, not the small country. Lot of resources. So that is how I look at this problem. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. So next question, and by referring to that question, I thought of changing my question a bit for Kotagama sir. Professor Kotagama, now when I was explaining the other explanation, there was another audience where I was in the audience. There was another function where I was in the audience, and there was a presentation, and I wanted to ask a question. I raised my hand. I didn't get the microphone by that day. So since I have the microphone today, I'm going to ask that question. Now, I'm referring to Sri Lanka, sir. Now, as a country, I mean, we know that there's a long distance that we have to go in terms of the sustainability and everything. But you are presenting on this NEOM project on one occasion, now they are spending a serious amount of, they are like flooding a serious amount of resources and infrastructure to develop that. But a country like Sri Lanka, as your topic said, is going back, like is going back the same as going forward, something like that. Development should be going back. So don't you think that it's easier for a country to like Sri Lanka rather than those countries to move in that direction? I mean, since our traditional construction and all those things were more or less sustainable as far as we know. So don't you think that as Sri Lankans, it's easier for us to go towards sustainability than these developed countries? What is your opinion on that?
Yeah, I think you're correct. That's what I'm always trying to say. We have forgotten to look at our own history. Our engineers of the past who didn't have a BE engineering, Bachelor of Engineering, were masters in hydrology. Right? You have still not come up with the Bisokotu. Have you? We have had all of this, right? Now, I'm very much in debt for what was said about the power grid, which I didn't know a lot, but I have always been asking that also. When we were in a power crisis, and when we wanted to develop power, I understood why you had to bring it to Colombo to give it out, because it had to come to the main grid and go. But the generation could only happen in the middle of the country because that was hydro. But when we went to generate power with respect to oil and things like that, I was wondering why you should connect it to the main. And when you went all the way up to Norocholi because of there was no other choice, you know the history, right? We went to Trincomalee, got kicked out because we didn't do the right job of the EIA. We forgot alternative sites. Then we went to Magala and the politics came in and let Premadasa said, you are not going to build it here if the people don't like it. Find another place and went round. You can't go to the, I said, go to the east. No, go along the southeast corner. No, you have to go to the developed area, right? That is what you're saying. Go to the area where you get the benefits and keep going. But I think that is the mistake. We have had a very strong history of engineering in this country. Doing things, even in the kitchen, right? I am not just engineering in the universities of power and vehicular transport or anything like that, but daily life. He engineered it. He didn't just live. He had to formulate it. He had to make it. That is engineering. We had to build our houses which could keep the heat away, wattle and dog. But that is engineering, right? If there was a Satmahal Prasade, how did we do it? Right? So we have in the East, I'll tell you a good example. I went to Machu Picchu, 14th century, just cut and paste. So I told my guide, you know, this is nothing. You come to Sri Lanka, I will show you cut, paste and art. You can't do art if you don't have time. You can't have your brain relaxed if you don't have time and have satisfaction of the life that you live in. We had all that in the East. But where are we today? We are running to something which is far away, and on the process, we are just destroying ourselves and not looking back at what we have had in terms of engineering broadly. Right? Whether we need power, electricity to get it done, that's a new type. I won't say that that is not necessary. But even that new dimension, should it be centralized? Now I really understand why it needs to be decentralized. And why should it not have been that? And why aren't we thinking like that? Sri Lanka was decent. And here we can't even decentralize ourselves to control us. Leave the power, the engineering side, requirement, food, everything we are locked up. So sustainability really requires you to think home. To bring it to a parallel. Think home. That means really decentralizing yourself. You should be. And today, I would say the technology is making it that way. You don't need to leave now. Yeah, here talking to people somewhere else. Right? So you could have done the same thing at home. That is what home is. From home, you control the setup all around. So the technology is enabling us to go there. But if you take it a parallel, be home. That knowledge we have always had. We need to use it back again.
Yes, thank you, sir. I mean, I was really waiting to ask you that question and get your opinion. Thank you for your comment on that, sir. Next, Professor Rodrigo, the same question. The smart grid technologies, in fact, the pilot project that you have shown, I mean, I was really inspired by what you're presenting. As a country, the same question. Are you in the opinion that we are in a good place in comparison, or what is our way forward? What should we do? I mean, as a society, as Sri Lankans, what is your opinion?
So I will talk about only in the about the power sector. Power sector, if you ask, we are in good place. My answer, I will say yes and no both. So that in a way, because fortunately, okay, we can easily move into the sustainable development in the future, because being in a tropical country, very nice greenery country with a lot of natural resources, we can easily manage our energy sector. As I said, we have enough capacity. And because of that, only thing is we need to have a good vision and good leadership, so that then we can easily move into this sector. But when you look at the current situation, even the the politics and other things, I'm say, we are not in a good, and, the correct, correct means, basically, the good vision, whether we are leading to that sector is, really questionable, because how the things are happening, I don't see that. Still we are going ahead with thinking that sustainable development. So that's why I said I had the answer for a yes and no. So that in a way, because now the people have already realized, fortunately, as the Professor Kotagama said, COVID showed us the lot of new avenues. And even the COVID period, people thought about when the 13 hours power cuts are coming up. Okay, can't we have our own generation? People went for a hybrid system, off-grid system, and started to generate themselves. Even in our houses, okay, we went for with the battery bank and self-substance. Likewise, people started in a new way rather than depending on the grid. So that now the same thing is extended. Now we are demonstrating it. We can go for that type of thing. So that likewise, okay, we have ample resources so that we are everywhere. If you go, but you will not get this type of resources if you go to any other country like a European country. In some days they are getting winter, no sun, like that. But fortunately, so that we don't have such problems, so that we are very lucky country where we can achieve. I'm talking about the energy sector, which is my specialty, so that we can easily achieve the sustainability. So that in that way, okay, we have put it to that, but I think in a government wise and the policy wise, we need to have a very strong policy to achieve that sustainability. As Professor Kotagama also mentioned, so we are too late. Okay, we cannot be the late too more. So that we have to achieve that one as soon as possible. These days you will feel that how much of temperature, how much of heat we are getting if we just go out. That the definitely. So we have to have something so that we are the quick action. Otherwise, we will be in trouble.
Thank you. And there's an addendum to that question in Zoom chat. Kaushalya is asking, Sri Lanka is committed to achieve 70% renewable energy by 2030. From Asanka, the question. Considering only the technical challenges we have to work out and present plans for the development of our grid, what is your opinion on achieving the above target in electricity generation by 2030, 70%?
Yeah, if you achieve as a resource wise, of course, we have enough resources, but the only thing is what I see as my point of view, I see a lot of proposals are coming only for powerhouse, the power plant generation. But there is a lack attention on the grid part, where that is one we are going to absorb it. But fortunately now people are talking about the storage and other the digital infrastructure. Definitely we have to upgrade the grid if we want to achieve this 70% target. Anyway, now when you look at our renewable energy, including the major hydro, we are somewhere in 40, the 45. So that achieving the 60, 70 is not a big target. So that we can definitely achieve. But to absorb that one, we need to have a certain type of infrastructure. But as well as we can go for a decentralized systems as much as possible. So that so that individually, village-wise or the city-wise, we can control them. Then we don't want that much of the grid infrastructure. So that we can, whatever way we can achieve, definitely we can achieve, but definitely in order to achieve that one, we need to have the good our grid. Otherwise, we won't be able to achieve our requirement.
Okay, thank you. So it is possible, but there are some things to be done in summary. And if there are questions from the physical audience that we have, we can facilitate that. If you can raise your hands. And since there are no hands to be seen, there are two other questions in Zoom. One, I think I would like to direct it to Professor Disanayake. Ravindra, Mr. Ravindra I'm sorry if I miss the designations. I'm just reading the name that is there in the Zoom. Some universities produce MSc holders in SB, I think Sustainable Built Environment. Is there any process to harvest something from them, or is it time wasting which can't be recovered? So that is a direct question that has come from the.
Yeah, there are, of course, the sustainable built in or MSc, right? Actually, I'm the one who started it, Peradeniya. So, yeah, I see that there are few people, even some of the product that I developed, like the lightweight brick out of the fly ash, they work as research assistant at the beginning, so that even they have come up with a few other product, but we were able to produce the another product purely out of the fly ash. There's a polymer. But unfortunately, what happened is that time cost is high, but we could not market it. Otherwise, it is a sustainable innovation, but it is not economically viable. Likewise, there are few people, even I met one person who is working in the mold use recently. He's trying to do some innovation and try to do something there. Therefore, I think because we can't expect like 100% people might go toward that. I have few examples where they become more innovative and entrepreneurs. Not only they become entrepreneurs, sometimes they work in the organization where they will help with the either sustainability or making some innovation out of the what is happening in the company or the entrepreneurship. Sometimes they don't active in the all three elements, maybe in a one element. I mean, that is what we expected. So it depends on the player and how we work. It become a green innovation and entrepreneurship is doing it alone. But when he is in the big organization, he cannot touch all the areas. Maybe he will confirm into the one area and excel. So I can say that I'm happy about the introduction of the MSc program in sustainable built environment. Thank you.
Yes, I also know there are some products who are rendering a serious good service to the nation as well. Those who have followed this SPE Masters, I have some of my colleagues. And there's another question in Zoom. I think this has already been answered. Engineer Sahan Shamirka has asked how the sustainable energy solutions can address power crises which are currently occurring in Sri Lanka. I think that has already been answered. So I'll move on from that. And if you have any other questions, chat is open and audience can also ask. So I would like to ask Professor Kotagama once again. Now there are two terms: development and sustainable development. Shouldn't they be the same? Should there be a separate thing called sustainable development, or should it just be development? Like in China, we don't call Chinese food, it's food. In this world, development should be sustainable development. I mean, there shouldn't be any unsustainable development. That is my opinion. What do you think of that?
Yeah, let me put it this way. I think in 2002 or 2001, I was invited by University of Harvard to join a group of academics and experts to draw up a syllabus on sustainable business. The question you're asking is there. So when I went there, I asked the same question. Why must you develop a sustainable business if business is not going to be sustainable? I know, I knew the answer, but I just wanted to put it that way, in the same way that you're asking. Why must we be doing sustainable development if not development? It is not development. The reasons are very clear. It was just that it needed a new word. And the authors of the word, which is Brundtland, Madam Brundtland and the team of 21, people who were appointed for the task in 1982, had to come up with a word that did not let's say, dilute the intention of development. Because we really want to develop. Nobody wants to sit in one place and be stagnant. They all want to develop. So they didn't want to kill the goose that was laying the egg, but they wanted to change the color of the egg. So that the egg is not just development, but it was going to be something that was in taste, in content, different from the one that was already there. And that had to be something that was going to be in synchrony with nature, with the planet's environment. That is why they said we must develop. We all want to develop. We all want to change to be better than what we were. But we must do that without harming the environment. Or even to a point that the harm is controllable. At the end of the day, you're going to be live in a harmonious environment which you have created, because it's still going to be a created world, because that's what we came as living beings since 12,000 years ago. You can't go back 12,000 years to be a hunter-gatherer. We can only go back to a point that we live in harmony with the limits of the planet. That is all we need. So it was really a word that was coined to have the, as I said, the flavor or the essence of development, but yet covered with icing of sustainability. Then it tastes better, no? That's the whole purpose. But you have to understand the sustainability, because we all understand development, but we don't understand the sustainability. That is where the issue is. So for that, you need to understand. So if I take you further, after so many years, I still can't find a university committing itself in this country that every student should learn environment, economics, and society. I tried to do that in Colombo and I have failed. I'm telling you open. I tried and I failed. Right? I tried to ensure that the students who come to the environment course follow sociology, follow economics and ecology. But today they are not. So where do we teach ourselves? Where are the students? Not just learning environment. It's not just the environment. Environment is just what is around us. But ecology is the science of value. You have to learn ecology. Understanding the relationships that exist of the organisms with the lithosphere, the earth, or with the air or the water. That is not environment. All of them are the environment. See, the words are very tricky, but so if you are not teaching the student the elements of sustainability as one, art students are learning one thing, science students are learning one thing, engineering students are learning another thing, the medical people are learning something totally out. So where is the synergy? Business people doing something else. I'll give you another example. These are all very interesting. Many years ago, when CSR came to this country, one big company came to me and said, "Sir, can you come and talk to us about CSR?" I said, "Yes, I can do that. But I want to ask you a question first. Is your CSR from the profit or is your CSR in a budget? Where do you think it should?" He said, "Sir, it's after we get." I said, "That is the problem. No? If the profit falls, no CSR. It can't be. Social responsibility must be in your budget at the beginning, not at the end when you have done everything and partitioned out, taken your salary, taken everybody else's given, and then say, based on the profit. No. Community social responsibility must be in your budget. Profit, benefit. So like that, sustainable development is the holistic thing. Development is within it. And that is how we need to teach it. We don't teach it then. It's a philosophy. It's a thing.
Thank you, sir. I mean, that was the answer that, in fact, I was waiting to get from you. Really inspiring. I have been informed that we have about 4 minutes to finish. So one last round of questions. I would like to ask Professor Rodrigo, what do you think about the social, what we call social attitudes, social behavior towards the sustainable development nowadays? I mean, 10 years ago, if you compare 10 years ago, the situation in Sri Lanka and now, are people in a positive trend or negative trend? What is your opinion related to power sector? Nitya?
Mostly now the people have certain concern about the sustainability and this type of things. I must tell that especially like the Sustainable Energy Authority, they also included certain type of subject related to this area for the science in school teaching, where the idea was, our idea was to have this type of concept from the beginning of the children, so that then they will become a what we call the sustainable conscious citizen. So that because of that, because we have to inculcate this type of concept from the beginning, so that if we go like that, with that trend, okay, now there are certain science clubs, those type of things where people are more focusing on these type of sustainable development and how we can deal with the environment, those type of things. So that because of that, this trend is increasing and people are getting more and more awareness. And but we cannot say that that is perfect, but we have to go a long way. But the somehow with the awareness and the giving certain type of the programs, so that now people have certain concern about the sustainable development.
Thank you. Something positive to take forward. One last question from Professor Disanaik as well. Okay, there's one question if you can be quick. There's one question from the audience.
I am Gihan Jayadilaka. I am a civil engineer. This is for Professor Rodrigo. Right now, we saw several power failures during the recent past when the one power station was inactive, that's Norachole or any other. The entire system went out because it was a centralized system, right? Now, what is your recommendation now? Are we going to maintain this centralized system or are we going to have a decentralized system? Now, I give a example for that. I started my career as an irrigation engineer, right? We had a system called Weber Ilangava, right? We forgot about that and we went for bigger tanks. There was a scientific reason behind but they had this Ilangava to provide water for everybody, cultivation, drinking, for animals, right? So we forget about those things, right? As Professor Kotagama said rightly, we forgot about our history. Now we are not teaching history in our syllabus. It's not out of our curriculum also. But we were fortunate to learn our history. Those are the mistakes I think we have done, right? I think so. Based on that, are we going to maintain this centralized system or are we recommend? What is your recommendation? Are we going for a decentralized system for the power grid?
As I explained in my presentation, definitely our future will be decentralized. So that's why people are now talking about the nano grid, micro grids, and the mini grids, those type of things. So that way, you generate your own energy and use it within your other periphery. So that rather than having a very large scale power plant in one location. As you said, there you have a one big power plant. So that, for example, assume that we are having something like 1,500 megawatt demand. At that time, suddenly 900 megawatt go away from the system, so that there are no any other alternative to give that the deficit. So that will create a problem. That's why we are the entire blackouts are happening. So that if you just lose one power plant, that may affect the entire grid. So this can be solved by the smart grid and this type of decentralized system. That's why I said, because in the future, we have to go for definitely a decentralized system. So that's the future. Even not only Sri Lanka, in the worldwide, people have recognized that, okay, they are moving towards the decentralized systems.
Right, thank you. So direct answer, it should be decentralized. So since we have come to the very end, I think we have to wrap up this session. I would like to thank all panelists, those who have joined and presenting inspiring and what we call futuristic ideas onto the way forward that we have as a country and as a world as a whole. And thank you again. Thank you, Professor Kottagama, Professor Zanayak, and Professor Rodrigo for joining. And thank you for giving me this opportunity to moderate. Thank you. Let's move forward.
Please stay there. Right. Thank you very much. It was a very interesting discussion. So from the ISL side that we have to appreciate those who were here, the resource persons, and also because of their ideas, because of their thoughts. So I would like to invite Professor Ranjit Disanayak to give away this small token of appreciation to Professor Kottagama. I would like to invite our past president, Engineer Chula de Silva, to give away this small token of appreciation to Professor Ranjit Disanayak. Thank you. So then I would like to invite our Vice President, Engineer Prabodha Jinasena, to give away this token of appreciation to Professor Asanka Rodrigo. Thank you. And our Vice President, Engineer Mrs. Kamala Gunawardena. So I invite you to give away this token of appreciation to our moderator, Dr. Kasung Nandapal. Thank you very much. So before concluding the session, I will do this one as well, the proposing the vote of thanks. So I remember that I am actually coordinating this World Federation of Engineers activities as a council request. So then when we receive these requests, I discuss with the president and the executive secretary to organize this World Engineering Day today. And so they really helped me, the president and also the council. Everybody helped me in organizing this. I would like to thank all of them for their actually the help and also giving full support. And the resource persons, especially President, Professor Ranjit Disanayak, our Professor Kottagama, and Professor Asanka Rodrigo, and last moment acceptance from Dr. Kasung Nandapala to be in the moderator. Thank you very much. Right. So you did a wonderful job. Thank you very much for everyone. And the ISL staff, the DES, especially Mr. Chamila. Thank you very much for everything that you did, like making flyers and giving all these promotions. Thank you very much, everyone, and the ISL staff and the participants, those who join on this virtual platform and also this physical platform. Thank you very much for everyone. And I conclude this session. Thank you.